Welcome to Tales from the Majestic Mothership. Majestic Hudson fosters connection, inspires creativity, and supports a compassionate lifestyle, one blissful experience at a time. Please follow us at majestichudson.com and all social media where we can help you follow your bliss.
Welcome back.
Hello, everybody. I love when that voice comes up. This meeting is being recorded.
Yeah. It's not quite as ASMR soothing as
No, I feel like I'm in like the Jetsons or something. It's like we're trying to get as far away from the Jetsons as we can. Of course, none of you have heard this. So they're like, what are they talking about already?
I know.
Just press forward 5 more seconds, folks. You know, it takes a while. This is a mid-afternoon podcast. Normally I'm sleeping at this hour.
Me too.
Yeah. Says the manifestors. By the way, we're doing an episode on human design. Like that has to happen.
Oh, yeah. It's in the notes. It's in the books. We're mulling it like some sweet, warm wine. You know, we're getting ready. We've got all the things coming your way.
Well, it is October 11th. I like that because it's my favorite fucking number.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a feel good double number, 1111, make a wish. It's just there's a lot of magic there for sure.
Always.
Yeah.
So before we go get our manis and petties.
Oh yeah.
Because we're fancy spiritualists. Or stylish, I should say. Well, you did just show me a Scooby-Doo manicure.
I did. For the YouTube people, these are my Scooby nails. It's so the season of Scooby. That's so why I love October. I've been taking some restorative naps, and I've been having like season 1 of Scooby-Doo, like 1969 Scooby-Doo, like in the background while I sleep. It's remarkable. This is my wellness advice for all of you to try. I know it's not your typical orthodox wellness ritual, but just next time you take a nap, put on some Scooby-Doo in the background. See what it does.
This is another way to transcend all realms, folks.
Yes, exactly.
Scooby-Doo circa 1969.
That's my favorite one. My favorite season is the first season. It's got all the good eps. It's got, it just feels so cozy, even though it's a little spooky. It's the right amount of spooky,
Yeah, we don't have to go find that, man. Put the streaming in the notes for sure for everybody.
Oh yeah. If you have HBO Max, you have access to all of them.
There we go. There we go.
Yep.
So speaking of transcending, I think, we already talked about this, blah, blah, blah. It has been, I just got back from that retreat with Cheryl Strayed and my mind was completely blown.
I'm so excited.
And being on retreat in October always reminds me of all the great transcendentalists, which I hope to walk in their honored footsteps in many ways, shape, or form, even though it's like unego related. We all transcend in different ways. We all find ways of like blending our spirituality and nature, and how do we like come together, but how do we be alone, and how here comes Hari.
I was just about to say, he heard us talking about his whole life philosophy and came right in.
I'm getting whacked in the face.
I know, I see that. I think he thinks you're a piñata. That's so funny.
All right,
it's all about him.
I know, it always is. Yeah. Well, yeah. So throw out the definition, and then like, I don't know, we could just like Oktoberfest for Transcendentalists. Yeah. We should just talk about our faves.
Yeah.
Or at least we're inspired by some people, and even ourselves. What are because this is not like I don't know what the word is. It's not really like a dogma or something you're following. It's a way of life, and it's a way of life that supports you in an incredibly hence the term, transcendent way. Like, how do you transcend your daily life? How do you get out there? How do you morph? So many different things.
It's a looser definition, I find, in terms of like a lifestyle model. It's not so much like a list of things to achieve in order to live your most fulfilled life. It's more of just like this overarching explanation of mostly how to view life and how to be among it. But I'll just get a little more technical and read the definition. Transcendentalism is a philosophical movement that developed in the late 1820s in New England, which, I mean, come on, people. Come on, people.
All the more reason. Let's trade New York for Boston.
Yep. Just saying, it started in fucking Boston. So, Transcendentalism is a core belief in the inherent of goodness of people and nature. And while society and its institutions have corrupted the purity of the individual, people are at their best when truly self-reliant and independent. Transcendentalists, true transcendentalists, saw divine experience inherent in the everyday rather than a distant heaven, so to speak. So seeing physical and spiritual phenomena as a dynamic element of their everyday life versus a list of earthly duties you need to achieve in order to reach the divine. The divine is already among us, essentially.
Yes. Which, I that's actually a really, really great point, because I've been sometimes when I quote lots of people that and sometimes they are like divinely sourced people, saints, people who are like great preachers or things like that. But you're right, they're more, that's a little bit of a difference. There are transcendentalists too, but they do seek a higher power. Right. Where us, plain Janes and Joes on the earth.
Yeah.
We transcend, and that word is going to kick around like put her in the bucket like every
There's an overarching theme this episode.
And I don't think there's a word. I don't think there's a word to replace it, Ellie.
No, there's not.
It's like the word.
Yeah.
I love that word. And
it's
I
love
that what it means and how we feel, because it just feels like here's my heart and it's like light and I'm opening.
Right.
And then I look up and there's light, and I look down and there's light, and then you're light, and then he's light, and this plant is light. And
he's a big beam of light.
Yes.
He's a fluffy light.
Literally.
Well, also, and I mean, I have no really strong opinion or judgment on this, but sainthood is only acquired after death.
Good point.
So it's an honoring title to receive, but it does, I think, sort of cement in that idea of the divine is elsewhere. It is afterlife versus transcendentalism is really the belief in the divine and life coexisting together and finding that among the earth and the elements.
Yeah, I love that.
It's interesting. It's cool.
And I love that word you used earlier with the purity of it. The purity of it. That's a good word in many senses too, because it's like, the sum of the parts, the parts are very few.
Yeah.
But within all of those things, whatever's going on in our mind, or, what it's experiencing around us on a walk, things of that kind of nature. Did you know that it was that they had I got a fun fact already for you, Boston girl. We need some pictures of a plaque that you're going to find. There was a transcendental club in Cambridge, Massachusetts. That's when it started in September of 1836.
Oh my God. So she's sending me on a scavenger hunt.
I am
on a scavenger hunt, guys. I have to clock in to go on a scavenger hunt.
I'd be like, just give me the receipts.
Yes, exactly.
Can't wait to see that invoice.
There's
a picture of a bronze plaque on the corner of Maine, and
it's going to be a very sassy TikTok. All right, guys. My fucking boss is sending me all over Massachusetts to find a plaque for the Transcendentalist Club, which is as abstract as it sounds.
Oh my God, so true. So true.
Funny.
But that's really cool.
It's great. I would love to pal around and go and try and find it. That'd be awesome.
I know. That's the kind of thing. That's up there with when I was younger, my dad would be like, hey, you want to go to the graveyard and do graveyard rubbings? And we'd all be like, sure.
Right.
Whatever but you now say, I'm Dad. Like, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like I realize now, thanks, Dad. Of course I want to do printmaking on, the gravestones of really prominent, cool people.
It's true. It's true.
There are many ways to honor the dead.
And that's why she's so weird, guys.
Just one of them.
This is what our parents do. They made us weird. They made us this way,
So they're calling it a movement. God, I don't know how I feel about that word.
I know. It's
thinking politics.
It's a little politicized, but I mean, let me see if I can try and, rebrand the word, if you will. I mean, I think we could attribute, here's me just like getting abstract, going there. Although dead sober, it's 1:48 in the afternoon. Like movement, I think, can also be equated to a journey of sorts. And through journeys, there's vital lessons, there's discoveries to be made. And I think those in regards to Transcendentalism is, as you move through life, you discover the divine and you discover little gifts.
Love that.
So, I think that is the transcendentalist view on movement, in that, in this space of what that means. Because I mean, like we said before, it is a little open-ended, like what it means to be a transcendentalist, is it, I think, explained and detailed as such, but how you go about being a transcendentalist, I think it leaves more to the imagination.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's like, just planting that seed for everyone, because I have to say, like, this particular weekend, that I was away, and I've been on hundreds of retreats. I think I could literally say I've been on hundreds of retreats, either
probably
performed or been on there. Yeah. Like that's like legit, folks.
Yeah.
And I was literally in awe of being in the right place at the right time and absorbing, I should say, every last bit in a very individual way. Like, and what happens is like, it doesn't matter where you are. So here I am at home now too, but it's like where you are literally walking on sacred ground.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good way to put it too. You know what I mean? Definitely. Like, we just, especially after, like, with all due respect, disclaimer, folks, because I get some kickback on this, we just honored yesterday, indigenous, peoples, but for us all, sacred land that we share together, but also sacred land in our heads and mind space.
Yes.
And also our bodies are sacred, right? That's a temple that needs to be honored in many, many ways, so but we're, for this sake of this conversation, everybody, we're taking out like the words we throw around a lot, God and goddesses.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're also taking out, like, from a Reiki prayer, like we always say, spirit is guiding us, divine is God. We're taking that out of the equation.
Yeah.
So that, like, let's entertain that a little bit. Let's pull up some of the ones that are starting to inspire us. I'm going to let you go first because I literally have like a gazillion that I love. And many of them I've talked about a lot, but I'm going to jump into, Maggie Fuller after you come up with one, because she's one I haven't done too much about.
Well, the one that popped up for me and seemed significant was Annie Dillard.
Oh, yes.
Because we were talking a little bit about her, and you were the one who kind of inspired me to go and do some research.
The Abundance. This is one of her.
She is.
I was given to me. Actually, this was given to me by someone really special. But this one, you won the Pulitzer Prize, by the way.
Yeah. She's from Connecticut, so obviously I felt very seen. She went to Hollins University in Roanoke. Yeah, where she studied literature and creative writing, which, again, it's just, I'm just saying, trying to manifest a little bit. But the work that stood out to me was Living by Fiction, which was written in 1982. And it essentially was her theory about, quote, why flattening of character and narrative cannot happen in literature as it did when the visual arts rejected deep space for the picture plane. She later said that in the process of writing this book, she talked herself into writing an old-fashioned novel. And essentially just sort of respecting the roots of fiction and how fiction has evolved for better or worse to be, I think, more saturated. There's a ton of like post-apocalyptic futuristic works of literature that are out now, which on, one hand can be very cathartic. It talks about the human experience in that way. But on the other hand, I think one reason why transcendentalists might not be quite as enthusiastic about those works is because they do kind of step away from nature and its origins and finding the divine in much more simplistic places, as opposed to, man-made construction of, what life is now, which is definitely much more industrial and technological.
Well, I mean, the biggest example of that, right, is like, Walden Pond, right? Emerson. Yeah. And we're not going to go there because those are the ones that everybody knows. Right. But yeah, I hear you like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Do you have like something in particular, like just a little excerpt or something? I want to spin some of that stuff around to people if we have anything.
There's a quote of her work that's called Mornings Like This, which is dedicated to found poetry. Okay. And it's essentially taking phrases from old books. This is what she did. And then creating poems. So,
oh, yes.
Yeah. So basically, going back to the roots, back to old literature, and sort of refurbishing it while still appreciating its original purpose. And she has been quoted to say that it was actually very challenging to do, to find, lines that resonate still to this day, but that it was a very humbling experience, going back and appreciating these old works of literature, and how it was a very humbling and honoring experience to kind of walk in those artists' footsteps and appreciate their art in your own creative way.
I think that's incredible. See, like these are the juicy bits, right? This is like
yeah.
a collage, right? Of like,
right.
I mean, you can't even do that today. Because I'm like, oh, do we, I'm always like, is it fair use? Can we use that poem?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Can we use that photograph? And
right.
rightly so, but that was the kind of stuff was not always like available. And, where's the fine line? I mean, that's nature too. Like, a seed falls on the ground and creates something else. Like,
right.
That's all part of the full circle. And that's what I do like about this kind of, it's an inherent cycle, like you said, of creativity and honoring I try not to say divine, honoring the, what's another word? The, honoring your truest self.
Right.
The greater umbrella of truer form and the microcosms of those forms.
Yeah.
And how they overlap. And that's in literature though. I guess, we're kind of focusing on literature in some ways.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do another thing on naturalists another time or something like that.
Yeah. Do we sound high, guys? Comment below.
I know, right?
Do we sound stoned out of our minds?
But I mean, Eddie Dillard.
Yeah, exactly. Transcendentalism. Watch Scooby-Doo.
I know, right?
But maybe it's so true, right? I mean, like it's like to put it in maybe a more modern and slightly detached term, like nature is fair use, essentially.
Yes.
Nature doesn't have a hierarchy really beyond a food chain.
Right.
Versus, now everything is copywritten and there's so much ownership.
Yes.
And in some ways that's great, people are able to protect what they've created. But it also is very, hierarchical. I can never say that word. Yeah. And that's man-made and that's constructed by humans. And that is definitely not very transcendentalist in that way. So it's interesting.
And also it's like this round, like, I guess the other thing I wanted to bring out is like, it becomes like a round table. The conversation continues. Like you and I are in that plane to have this conversation. And we hope to, at least in this little tidbit of a heavy, almost high conversation, not really high, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it feels higher. That's
emotionally high.
Like, I mean, literally, pun intended.
Yeah,
like, let's think high above, right?
Yeah.
Let's think what's next, and we are not high. That's how people thought, and some people still do. You know, I have friends who send me quotes like first thing in the morning, and I'm like, fuck yeah. You know, then I'll have another friend. We're like, did you do your I Ching today? And then we just dissect that. I mean, for those of you out there, I hope that we do plant a little seed that continue to find that amongst your people, because that's what they did at the beginning of that century. And that doesn't happen as much anymore, you know, because it does have the label of like, what are you a Buddhist? Are you a this? Are you a that? You know, you have, what club are you in? Instead of just being your club is you.
Right.
Then you get together with other club members who are other people and share amazing ideas and allow each other to share.
Yes.
Which is so cool.
Yeah. And not to get on my, my mental health soapbox, but there,
as she spits her tea across the room.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, I think there is a beauty and a strength in taking the proactive effort to find that light amongst your life, your environment, your people.
Love that. Yes. You know, yes. This is our round table. That's literally, that's the name of this, is the round table of Transcendentalists, right?
Yes, totally. And of course, you know, I mean, listen, as someone who has had their own journey with that, you know, that's not going to cure you, but I think it can be incredibly healing in a way that maybe you didn't expect, of like just taking those moments to really see what you already have, because it will help pave the way to moving towards, you know, what you need to find.
Simplify.
It's just,
simplify.
It's true.
I'm going to bring up Margaret Fuller, and holy moly, I just found out so much about her. And like another, well, I don't know. I don't want to go there exactly right away. But like another incredible person. Let's see if, this is her entire text. Like, of course, everything I have is everybody's journals. By the way, I open in my book, right? And it is bookmarked on this page. And it's got basically a receipt from the Gotham Comedy Club in Manhattan.
Oh my God.
What happened that night? I don't remember. That's so weird, but I love that that's there.
What a nice little relic.
I know, right? Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay. She was also, so Margaret Fuller, right, was one of the most important feminists of her day, which is also important, and we like to shine a light on, right? Philosopher, literary critic. She belonged to the New England intellectual community called the well, like you said, with, you know, she hung out with Emerson, Thoreau, all these people that we were talking about. You, especially as a Boston person, we should bring up the Peabody sisters.
That's
true,
like
Nathaniel Hawthorne, all those people, right? So, interesting. Fuller's remembered not only for her writings, but also for her life in a series of undertakings to live up to her own ideal of transcending the then customary gender differentiations.
Oh, very ahead of her time.
That is very, I did not know all of that.
Right.
She was born in Cambridge Port, Massachusetts. And basically, she just kind of dived right into the literary circles, a lot of that kind of thing, same sort of thing. She hung out with the Peabody sisters, like I said. I think she had like her own little sort of she would get published, you know, like the Dial was a big thing right up there in Boston area. She was supposed to receive a salary of $200 annually, but the money was never paid. So she got pissed off and became a really good feminist. Let's see.
That's usually how it starts, right?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Her cultivation of the self. So she always believed in like self-improvement, self-culture. That's another way of looking at it, right? What we were just talking about. I like that idea of self-culture.
Yeah.
Like we are our own person. You know, the
right.
conscious like development of like your own integrity, your own intellect, you know, and that's, you know, we're starting with some women here, right? But that's in the age of where like the patriarchy was like barely sharpened. It was just the norm.
Right.
You know, so
right.
like these women are, you know, we tip our hats to them, our top hats, you know, because it's really important that these women paved their way for us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Let me see. So I want to read something in particular. There's so many things to choose from, and I should have picked this before. Oh, I'm just going to read this part. So, but Fuller was a member of the Transcendental Club that we talked about, which was founded by Emerson and Frederick Henry Hedge. And they were all Unitarians, actually. Other people who were in that club were Thoreau, Theodore Parker, Elizabeth Peabody. So yeah, she pushed a lot of boundaries. I mean, you know, obviously in terms of like gender, but also feminism. Here's something that's really interesting because people think about this from day to day. Oh yeah, so she was like a big thing. She has a thing about marriage. She really like what the concept of marriage was, right? She would help women to realize their full potential, and she would call it rouse their latent powers, right? And
wow.
She addresses the need to actually transform the marriage relationship. So instead of the woman belonging to the man, the marriage should enable two equal partners as an ally to form a whole together. It would be, I love that she says this, ideally marriage is a pilgrimage towards a common shrine.
Oh, that's so cute.
Fuck. Oh my God. Well, that said, I don't want to say, well, she's done so many things. And I'll read a little bit excerpt of one of her poems in a minute, just one of her readings, I should say. She actually wrote one called The Sacred Marriage, but she later on in her life had found like the love of her life. Right. And she was in Italy when she met in 1847, Giovanni Angelo. He was 10 years younger. Go Maggie. And they became lovers. They had a son in 1848, and then they married the year after. And then her and her husband, they fled to Florence. Okay. During the Roman Revolution, but then they sailed to the United States together. The ship ran aground in a storm off of Fire Island, and their bodies were never found.
Oh my God.
That's wild. Oh my God. Oh my God. Actually, I have a great Fire Island. So shout out to all my Long Island peeps. My parents actually, well, it's no secret that they actually are part of the Fire Island Preservation Society. So I'll be asking some more questions about this. One time I was with my family, and, you know, as a lot of families do, you know, they go on hikes on the beach on a frigid day in January, you know, like that's what some families do, like mine.
I was just going to say, it sounds like your family would. Yeah. Checks
out
for you.
Like a good bunch of transcendentalists, they don't really care what the weather is. They just take a nice walk outside.
Right. That's why you only have 8 toes.
Right. Well, probably less from frostbite. But
exactly.
We're hiking on the beach. We're on the ocean at Fire Island. And we're looking on the ground, and we find this enormous piece of chalk. Like chalk. We're like, why is there chalk on the beach? And of course, my dad runs out. He's like, oh my God, that's the chalk from blah, 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 shipwreck, blah, 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 blah. And it was like, there was like a shipwreck right off the coast there again, right at the lighthouse. And like it's now in the exhibit now. So that's I wonder wild. Who the heck knows, you know, there could be bits of something that's, you know, literally the essence, I will say, of Margaret Fuller and her beautiful husband and lover.
I just want to put on my dating profile that I'm looking for someone to join me on my pilgrimage to a common shrine.
Yeah, that's
so cute.
I freaking Oh my God.
I want that.
Love affairs. Oh my God. They have to be that epic. Okay, one little thing she'll have to say. Let's see. Hide never the full presence from thy sight of mutual aims and tasks, ideals bright, would feed their roots today and all this seeming blight. Truest self. Let's not forget the truest self. That's her words. All right. Who else could we move on to? Let's pick a dude.
Okay. This actually makes a lot of sense. This isn't a dude or a person really, but I was thinking how Transcendentalism sounds like very much a lot like Romanticism, which is something that I studied in college.
Right.
Which was, very not anti-progression, but just sort of wanting to be more appreciative and unified with nature. And actually one of the works that I just realized this is kind of like Halloween-y too.
Go.
That one of the works that we studied that touched upon both Romanticism and Transcendentalism was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yes. Oh my God. Right.
Which was like an explorative piece that is now, I think more regarded as like a horror story of, the dangers of, testing nature, challenging nature. And as opposed to viewing yourself and the self as one amongst nature, it's nature versus man, which is always a devastating construction because it never works essentially.
So true.
So I mean, whether or not, I don't think Mary Shelley was in the Transcendentalist Club in New England, but at the very least, Frankenstein is a really great, I think, cautionary tale of, the obsession with man-made progression.
Yes. Oh my God. That's like a fabulous, I don't want to say dichotomy, but like just that parallel. That paradox. Actually, we talked a lot about the paradox this weekend. I literally made, oh my gosh, should I post it? You're going to freak out. But here we go. Now we're getting a little weird, folks. So that was a sigil. So we were talking about the paradox, the great paradox. So I literally made a sigil out of the word paradox.
Wow.
And it came, so it just felt like I needed to make that symbolism of how we should constantly be in this place where we are questioning and looking for the paradox and things.
Totally.
And maybe that's what it is. It's the nature, like I picked this beautiful bouquet of like aster and pine and all these things, because at the end of the day, you could get your mind full with you can have your mind full with that intellectual stimulation amongst others and your truest self, or it's the emptiness in what's around you.
Right.
I mean, yes, we are being spoken to by I should say, by the trees and the wind and all that stuff. That's all medicine, right? But just opening our eyes, I was kind of talking about that a little bit. Aesthetic perception, be romantic, transcend, all those things.
Totally.
So this is like a conversation that should not end. You know what I mean? It's not it's also, it's not even a conversation. It's just be. It's a true self.
Yeah.
Share that with, the people that you love and understand you.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And this is such a comforting time of year to find that too.
Oh yeah.
It's so cozy and supportive, and it's just, it's really, I feel like summer is very much the time of exploring and external journeys and travels. Whereas fall and autumn is really just sort of about like getting back into the nest, and looking around and appreciating your space.
Yeah, 1,000%. I have a quote that I will end with that I thought it's a Yeats quote too. Ooh. That And it's good for this time of year too, and our sharpening our senses, as we said, and sharpening our awareness and looking above and beyond, transcending, right? The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's somewhat it in a nutshell.
Pretty much.
I think that, you know, we're a little out there today, folks. It's the aftermath of a serious full moon.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like we're all thinking clearly. We're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. My therapy session was weird at that time.
Oh my God, so much fun. It's all good. Yeah, I'm just sitting here. I mean, literally, I'm just staring out the window right now.
Yeah.
Like, are we even having this conversation? I don't know. I swear to God, we're not high.
Sorry, we had 5 edibles before we started this each. Yeah, I know we did. I'm kidding.
I'm literally drinking tea and eating out of a box of like Jacques Touré chocolate that was gifted to me. Oh yeah.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Delish.
Fuel for all sorts of things.
I had a spoonful of edible cookie dough last night. Yeah, exactly. Really? It was so good. Just the comfort I needed.
Amazing. Well, onward and upward, folks. I'm going to be reading something spooky soon, and we're going to be. I think we'll be talking about probably human design next time or something like that. And toodaloo. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Ciao.